Something actually changed 12 wins from their last 13 games. A 9-game winning streak.
Smart tries a three-pointer. Bang! Marcus Smart from deep.
Luka Dončić dropping 40-point performances like it is a Tuesday morning habit. And the Lakers sitting at a 3rd seed in the Western Conference, a position that would have seemed completely delusional to anyone who watched this team in December. Here is the thing though, hot streaks happen in the NBA. Teams get rolling, shots start falling, the schedule softens up a little, and suddenly a mediocre roster looks like a contender for 3 weeks before the playoffs expose everything. We have seen that story before. We have seen the Lakers tell that exact story before. Last year they got hot heading into the postseason and then got completely dismantled by Minnesota in the first round. Like none of it actually meant anything. So the real question is not whether the Lakers are winning. They clearly are. The real question is whether this is structurally different from every other hot streak this franchise has gone on in recent memory. And when you actually dig into the last 13 games, 3 things stand out that go way beyond just the ball going in. There is a role sacrifice at the top of this roster that almost never happens with players at this level. There is a defensive transformation that is not getting nearly enough credit. And then there is Luka doing things that people are going to be talking about for a very long time. This is not the same Lakers team. Let me show you exactly why. The locker room problem. Nobody wanted to admit. To understand what is happening right now, you have to go back to February 22nd. The Lakers just got blown out by the Celtics. 111-89. Not a close game. Not a competitive loss. A blowout. And after the game, Luka sat in front of the cameras and said something.
Just our energy. I think we shared the ball really well. We were knocking down shots
that got framed as damage control at the time. He said the team was not there yet, but had big potential with all 3 of them playing together. That quote sounds like a guy doing PR after an embarrassing evening. But what was actually happening inside that locker room over the following weeks turned out to be far more significant than anyone realized at the time. Because the core problem with this Lakers team all season was never talent. They had talent. The problem was that nobody had committed to a clear hierarchy. Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reaves are all capable of running an offense. All 3 of them need the ball to operate at their best. And for most of the season, they were essentially taking turns without any real structure around it. Luka would defer in moments he should have been dominating. LeBron would push pace and eat possessions that Luka needed to find his rhythm against elite defenses. That kind of ambiguity is fucking lethal in a league where structure and clarity are the difference between contending and going home in 5 games. 6 points per 100 possessions. Their record against teams over 500 was 12-17. They had problems on both ends and no real identity to speak of. A collection of talented players without a clear sense of what they were actually supposed to be. LeBron did something stars almost never do. Then LeBron got hurt and missed 3 games in early March.
LeBron is laboring.
The Lakers went 3-0 without him. When he came back against the Bulls, something had clearly shifted. Not in the roster, not in the schedule, but in the role LeBron was willing to play. He was not forcing the issue. He was running pick and roll as the screener, rolling to the basket, popping to the corner. Not the ball handler. He was getting his looks in transition off Luka's gravity. He was making skip passes from the dunker spot when defenses tilted toward Luka. The job description had completely changed, and LeBron, the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, accepted it without making it a public drama. Over his last 6 games in the stretch, LeBron averaged 19 points per game on 65% true shooting. Against the Rockets, he shot 13 of 14 from the field. Less than 24 hours later, on the second night of a back-to-back against Miami, he recorded a triple-double. 19 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. Every single assist came from reading a drive or making a skip pass. He internalized a specific role and executed it at a level that most role players who have been playing that role their entire career cannot match. He also became the NBA's all-time leader in regular season games played. 1,612 and counting, surpassing Robert Parrish outright at 41 years old, playing a completely different role than he has ever played in his entire career. Sacrifice is easy to talk about. Every star in the league will tell you in a press conference that they are willing to do whatever it takes for the team to win. Almost nobody actually does it when it means genuinely accepting less. LeBron did, and that is reason number 1 why this is not the same Lakers team. The player making all of this actually work, here is a question worth sitting with. If someone asked you right now who the most important player has been during this Lakers run, what would you say? Luka, obviously, maybe Reaves. That is what most people say, and both of those answers are reasonable and defensible, but not enough people are saying Marcus Smart, and that is a genuine problem because Smart is arguably the reason this entire thing actually functions.
Pocket picked. Marcus.
Lakers. Before the All-Star break, the Lakers ranked 23rd in defensive rating. Let that land for a second. There were teams actively tanking, throwing games on purpose, trying to lose, and they were defending better than the Lakers in January. That is a level of defensive embarrassment that is difficult to overstate. Smart changed that. He is 6'3", and most nights he is guarding the other team's best perimeter player. He gets in their jersey, makes every single catch uncomfortable, and essentially makes their life miserable for 48 minutes. The kind of defensive energy that is impossible to fully capture in a box score but shows up everywhere else if you know what to look for. Anthony Edwards against the Timberwolves, 14 points on 2 of 15 shooting. That is the most inefficient game of his career in any game where he took more than 11 shots. Jamal Murray against Denver, 1 of 14 from the field. Kevin Durant held to 18 in back-to-back matchups against the Lakers. Smart is the common thread running through all of it. He is averaging 2 steals per game during this stretch. 7 with him on the court, which is top 5 in the league. Since the All-Star break, the team has climbed from 23rd to 12th in defensive rating, now holding opponents to 113 points per 100 possessions. That is a massive swing in a very short window. That is a defensive identity forming around one player, setting the standard every single night and daring everyone else to match it. The moment that defined what he means to this team came in an overtime win against Denver.
Hardaway launches it up.
Smart finished with 21 points, 5 steals, and a team high plus 16. He hit a clutch three-pointer to put the Lakers up by 2 with 30 seconds remaining in overtime. After the game, he told reporters the team was tired of hearing people talk shit. And honestly, the numbers back up every word of it. Stops lead to transition. Transition leads to open looks. Open looks go in. Once that cycle starts clicking, it is genuinely hard to stop. And that is reason number 2 why this is not the same Lakers team. The coach nobody thought was ready. While we are handing out credit, we need to spend a moment on JJ Redick, because what this man has done in his second year as an NBA head coach deserves more recognition than it is getting. He came in as a podcaster and analyst. The prevailing narrative around the league was that the Lakers had handed the keys to someone completely unqualified for the job. No head coaching experience at any level, no track record of managing star players, no history of building defensive systems, or handling a locker room full of massive egos with massive contracts. And yet in year 2, he gave this roster a defensive identity it did not have. He had a conversation with LeBron James, the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, about becoming the third option on his own team. And LeBron actually bought in. He built an offensive hierarchy around Luka when most coaches with far more experience would have been too intimidated by the personalities in that locker room to even attempt enforcing one. That is genuinely difficult stuff. Plenty of experienced coaches have had the right ideas about how a roster should operate and could not get their best players to listen. Redick got 3 star players to sacrifice, built a functional team identity out of a group that had none 6 weeks ago, and has them sitting at a 3rd seed in the toughest conference in basketball. The coaching job is not getting anywhere near enough credit in this conversation. What structure actually unlocked in Luka now? Let's talk about what all of that sacrifice and structure and defensive identity has actually unlocked, because this is the part that becomes genuinely historic when you lay out the numbers. 4 assists per game while shooting 50% from the field and 40% from 3 on nearly 15 attempts per night. The Lakers outscored opponents by 14 points per 100 possessions with him on the floor. That is a margin that makes you do a double take. The game log is almost offensive to look at. 60 against Miami, 51 against Chicago, 44 against Indiana, 40 against Houston, 36 in the second Houston game 2 nights later, 35 against the Knicks, 33 against Orlando, 31 against Minnesota with 11 assists, 30 against Denver with 13 assists. But what makes those numbers genuinely remarkable is how different each performance looks from the one before it. He dropped 60 in isolation heavy situations. He went 30 and 13 as a pure facilitator. He is reading defenses and adapting to whatever each opponent gives him rather than running the same plays regardless of context. That is a dominant basketball player operating at the absolute peak of his powers, and stupid as it sounds to say about a guy averaging 40 points a night, the efficiency might be the most impressive part. The Miami game deserves particular attention. The night before, Luka dropped 40 in Houston. The Lakers flew to Miami and landed at 5 in the morning. Less than 24 hours after the Houston game tipped off, Luka was back on the floor hunting Bam Adebayo in isolation. Bam is one of the best individual defenders in the league, the exact type of player that creates nightmares for offensive stars in playoff environments. Luka went directly at him all night. Isolation, pick and roll, off movement, every situation imaginable. 8 points per possession in direct isolation against one of the best defenders in the league on 0 sleep on the second night of a back-to-back. The final line was 18 of 30 from the field, 9 of 17 from 3, 60 points. First Laker to score 60 since Kobe Bryant's final game in 2016. Only the 7th player in franchise history to ever reach that mark. And LeBron recorded a triple-double in the same game.
Out Kobe Bryant's career with a win and
the last time any player scored 60 and a teammate had a triple-double in the same NBA game was 1969. Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor. Take a second to process where that historically places what happened that night. What the Orlando game tells you more than the 60 did. And then the very next game in Orlando, Luka went out and scored 33 points, and the Lakers won 105-104 on a Luke Kennard buzzer beater.
To win the game! Yes! 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 Luke Kennard!
And honestly, the Orlando game might tell you more about this team than the 60-point masterpiece. Luka was brilliant in the first half, 24 points, looked like another massive night incoming. Then the second half happened. He went 2 of 13 from the field. The offense stalled. The Lakers found themselves down 5 with 50 seconds left on the road against a solid Orlando team, and their best player suddenly could not buy a bucket, and they won anyway. Reaves scored 11 of his 26 points in the fourth quarter to keep the Lakers alive. Down 2 with under 5 seconds left, the inbound found Smart, who found Kennard wide open on the wing, and he buried it. Ball game. That kind of win in that situation, with the best player on the floor completely ice cold in the second half, tells you everything about what this group has actually become. The previous versions of the Lakers gave Luka talent. This version gives him structure. When LeBron is the screener and connector, when Reaves is handling secondary ball handling duties and absorbing pick and roll coverage pressure, Luka gets to be the gravitational pull. He gets to play in space. He gets to hunt the matchups he wants. And when he has an off night, there are enough other functioning pieces that the whole thing does not collapse under its own weight. That is reason number 3 why this is not the same Lakers team. What comes next? So here is where things stand. 3rd seed in the West, 9-game winning streak against real competition, and a team that has genuinely looked structurally different in ways that matter when May and June arrive. But there is a complication. Luka picked up his 16th technical foul.
Double technical, so Luka will be suspended for a game,
which triggers an automatic 1-game suspension. The Lakers are about to play without their best player for the first time since the winning streak started. And beyond that, they face Oklahoma City twice before the playoffs in matchups that will provide a serious gauge of exactly where this team is and what they're actually capable of when the competition is at its absolute highest. The structure has been built, the hierarchy is clear, the defensive identity is real, the sacrifice from the stars is genuine. Now the question is whether it holds when the circumstances get uncomfortable. Every winning streak eventually faces that test. The Lakers are about to find out whether what they have built is actually durable or whether it falls apart the moment the conditions change. And for the first time in a while, it genuinely feels like there is reason to think the answer might be different this time. If you enjoyed watching this, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. There is a lot more coming, and you do not want to be the last one to the conversation.